Hi guys. We are currently going over the diversity-driven literature review. We currently have participants from subgroup A and subgroup B here. From subgroup A, I'm Heather. Then we have Ashley, and then so
And
from subgroup B we have
Amina and Morgan.
Morgan. Mhm.
so we have our draft here. We're using it to reference, and we're gonna start by going over the first paragraph. So that first paragraph was supposed to be a concise paragraph explaining the intervention. And this group did a nice job of putting it into terms that were clear, but not dragging on information, if that makes sense. One of the things we did notice in this section is that there just needed to be some citation, and actually Amina picked that up, which was pretty awesome, just because, we are a big group, so it's good to all catch like the mistakes when we can. So then the next section we're going to look at is the internal validity section, and Ashley's going to talk about that.
Hello. So I am going to go over the internal validity section. And the group did a very good job of explaining what internal validity is. They defined it very well. And we did put citations in there from the Cooper text. I did have a suggestion that we put into layman's terms or give an example of what the internal validity is. And we did do that. So Heather did a wonderful job explaining the study on it. There's also the multi-treatment interference occurrence with multiple treatments and are being administered at the same time of the participants study. That was explained very well in layman's terms on how they did that, and it was also cited correctly in that section. So the sectional bias for the internal validity affects the way that the participants are chosen. According to the Ledford and Gas single study research design, the participants or the individuals who met the criteria for the study have comparable characteristics. And they did a really good job giving examples from the literature on that study. For the completing interventions and the testing repertoire over time, Kate commented on it that it was great on how she explained it, and she explained it from the study and was able to put it in layman's terms also. And they did a really good job on breaking down the academia jargon in here and making it able to be understood in layman's terms. And they did a really good job on using all the citations from the different studies. So now it is the external validity section.
I do have something to mention that there's stuff that is also cited incorrectly, but because you already asked the group A have mentioned that it need to be cited correctly, we did it and we did it, and we will still be doing it in the final draft.
Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
Because when I'm looking at it, I see that there's stuff that you already mentioned, but we didn't correct it yet.
Okay.
Thank you, Amina.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to point out before we move on to external validity is that I thought it was great that you guys paid close attention to the slideshow discussing the rules, because there was importance placed on the use of the word procedural fidelity they were trying to move us away from using the word treatment. So I think it's really great that it was such a small detail that you guys caught because it is important. But now moving on to the external validity section. I think you guys did just in general, I think you guys did a really nice job with this one. I felt it was a little tricky to capture all the information. Again, a little bit of difficulty just with the citation, but you guys worked super diligently. Anything that we've been like, hey, like we need a citation here, you guys have responded to our comments saying that you're going to take care of it. So that's been super helpful. Even something as little as I see here that Rachel corrected, realized that the wrong year was used. And that's so big because we're only supposed to use certain years for our study. So we can scroll down a little bit.
Does this work?
So since Ashley had such a big section, if it's okay with her, I just wanted to add before she started up again. With the social validity section, I found this information to be super helpful. In the slideshow, it had explained that it explained that we needed to make clear that we understood the sections we were talking about. And I think you guys do a nice job. And here is a good example of, so like here's social validity and here's information and here's what it looks like. You guys even added the steps. So this was really good for clarifying that you do understand what you're writing about. And the only thing again here was just we needed a citation.
Yeah, to go along with what Heather was saying, I really do like how they put the 3 different steps on how they broke down that social validity on it. So that was really important, that driving home that yes, these are bigger terms that they're using in that, but they're also breaking those terms down in order to be able to see what they mean. Then we did have a few different problems doing the citations again, but they all got corrected and they did a great job on responding to the different comments that were made. So they gave really good examples of when it comes to consent and assent, that they gave some really good examples of assent and consent on that, because that is such a big deal with consent and assent that a lot of people don't realize that they're 2 very different things, but you do need both of them to be able to do treatment in our field. And I like how they gave the examples of both of the consent and assent. So once again, we just need to fix some of the citations and that. So I think that was overall like the biggest part of the section is just fixing some of the citations in it, but that's just part of being in a master's level course and getting everything in there exactly how it's supposed to be and all that. But overall, they did such a wonderful job on the social validity section.
Additionally, so one thing I had reached out to Morgan was there was a piece of the document just where I was confused about whether or not when we were doing if we were only doing one variable at a time, or if we were supposed to do one variable at a time, but it could be different variables. And Morgan did a really nice job of explaining that to me. She actually just found it for me. I appreciate that. but I was a little confused, and she did clarify here, even with an example with DRA to help me kind of understand, which was super helpful because it's hard. Like I wasn't questioning her, I was just questioning in general, and I got the clarification I needed. And then that's just the point I wanted to bring up. But then for the conclusion, I appreciated the fact that Juliana, I believe, asked for a little bit more support, making her point more concise. And a big part of this project that we keep being warned about is yes, you're divided into subgroups, but you are not to be behaving as subgroups. You are one unit and you need to act as such. So I think her asking for that support is really helpful. And the other thing I just want to say is you guys produced work very quickly, and it was all super meaningful work. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you. And also, we really appreciate that there is a lot of places when we ask your group to rephrase what we are saying, and you and your group immediately respond with how to write it in a better way to be reworded or to be in correct sentences.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
to go, sorry,
No, go ahead,
to go
Ashley.
along with Heather, that it's like this came out very quickly, that you guys did the turnaround time, I think in like 2 or 3 days, and then we were able to turn around and get the comments and feedback, and everyone, even though we were in the 2 different subgroups, that it was more like one group all working together and helping each other out. So like I think I've said this in every comment that we've had, I was really scared on how many was in this group, but even in our little subgroups in that, we are still acting as one group and everyone's working together. And you can see that in this document that it's really coming together nicely.
Do you guys have any
And
questions?
thank you,
or
Heather,
concerns?
for oh, sorry.
No,
I was saying
thank
thank you for double checking whether or not it was one variable. I was able to look it up in the Ledford and Gas single, I think it was the single research case design. I forgot what the book was called, but I was able to look it up and clarify for sure.
I appreciate that.
And also, I would mention that in the conclusion, one of my students from my group, that she mentioned individual first name identity, and you also corrected her with that. And I was like, if she didn't correct us, maybe I will not be able to see it. So thank you so much for correcting. It's in conclusion, because we are using identity first in this class.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. Is there anything else?
Thank you, guys.
I don't have any other
No, that's
questions.
all.
Do you have more?
All right. I'm going to end the recording here then. Thank you so much.